This conference will now be recorded.
So C drive software Indigo. Oh, already it is open, right? Okay. So in today's class, so any other questions from morning? So anyone else practiced in Indigo and got any problems? Got into any problems?
Ramji, for me, the image, I couldn't, I used the image tag, but I couldn't see any image on the web page.
So can I make you as a presenter? Is that image is a personal image or a different image?
I downloaded some image, some thank
Okay.
you
So can
email.
I make you as a presenter?
Yeah. So, just a second. Yeah, this is the image
So
tag I have used.
C drive. Okay. Can you give a different slash instead of this slash? Give a different slash.
The
Yeah,
backslash.
yeah. Okay, now try to export as a WAR file. Save it, save it. You did not save that. Yeah. And Pavani, when you tried with Leon, right? So I think it should work, right? Did you create the HTML files in the web content folder and did you export it as a WAR file?
Yes, Ramji.
It worked, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Chandralekha. So you can also proceed with Oxygen. Just right click on the web content folder and create the HTML file and export it as a WAR file and it should work. Right now
Yeah,
you should not be blocked with anything. Correct?
yeah,
If it's Oxygen or Neon, it should work. Just right click on the web because but I'll check why the process structure is like that. I'll check. I will try to explore that tonight or tomorrow whenever I find time.
yeah.
But
Okay,
in the
sure.
meantime, you can go through. You can proceed with Oxygen also because there's nothing will block you.
So
You can,
this is the picture I'm getting.
Mhm. So can you go to the web apps folder once? Can you go to the web apps folder? So go inside your folder, first web application. Go inside that folder. Which is your HTML file where you have an image.
Welcome.
Okay, can you open that? No, no, you got that,
Yeah.
but it's not coming in the server, right?
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, anyways, I'll also take this. Yeah,
Okay.
because I don't think it's a important thing to discuss now.
Okay.
Uh, Let me share the screen. So in today's class, so every time what I'm doing, whenever I make any changes, whenever I make any changes in the HTML files, I have to export it as a WAR file. I have to export it as a WAR file, and I have to place it in the server, and I have to restart the, I have to stop the server, and I have to start the server. So do you think there is a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of redundancy? I mean, every time I have to stop the server, I have, for a single, for a small change, that I make in the program, that I make in the HTML. So I have to build the WAR file again, and I have to deploy the WAR file in the server. I have to stop the server. I have to start the server. There's so it's a lot of work, right? Agreed? It's a lot of
Yes.
work, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So just to avoid that, what will I do is go to the Windows, show view, other servers. So I want to show the servers here. There is a servers tab here because it is like, suppose if, for example, if the console is not, for the console is, if I close the console, suppose if I want to see the console here, just go to the window, show view, console. There is no console here. Yes, show view console, correct? So suppose if you close some tabs by mistake, you can again go and open the tabs by going Windows show view, correct? Getting it? So right now I'm showing the servers tab. So what I'll do here is right click, new server. I'm adding a new server here in the Eclipse. I'm adding a new server in the Eclipse. So what server I'm adding? I'm adding Apache Tomcat. I'm adding Apache Tomcat 7 server, version 7 server. Okay. So let me click next. Okay. So here you have to specify what is the Tomcat installation directory. You're adding a Tomcat server. So but Tomcat is already installed in your laptop. So just go and browse C drive, softwares, Apache Tomcat. So this is the Tomcat server installation directory. Okay, and JDK 1.7 is my JRE. Okay, so unknown version of Tomcat. So Apache Tomcat, unknown version. Tomcat was specified. Yeah. So actually I specified the path till here only. You have to specify the path till here. Okay. Because if you go to the C drive softwares, Apache Tomcat, inside that there is one more Apache Tomcat. Till here you have to specify the Tomcat installation directory path. Okay. So then you don't get any errors here. Okay. Now you can click on next. You can click on finish. That's all. So now I added one server, correct? I added one server on the Eclipse console. Agreed? Eclipse. In the Eclipse, I added one server. So just double click on this server, you see the server properties. So if you look at this server properties, it is running, the HTTP port is 8090, correct? The HTTP port is 8090 because I'm pointing to the same server. If you look here, use Tomcat installation. This you have to install this. This is the server path you are using. C drive software Tomcat 7.0. That's the same server. I'm starting the same server here. Correct. Just close this. If you look in the command prompt, C drive software Apache Tomcat bin startup that bad. I'm starting the same server, right? Now my Eclipse is also pointing to the same server. You have to specify use Tomcat installation. Double click on this server property. Double click on this server. So then select this radio button. You ask the Eclipse to use the Tomcat installation. So it is using this Tomcat installation path. And what is the deployment path? You are deploying your application in the web apps folder, not in the you have to choose the web apps folder. C drive, software, Apache Tomcat in the web apps folder. This is the deployment. This is where you are deploying your application. Inside the web apps folder, you are deploying the application, right? So this is the deployment path. You give your, this is the Tomcat server installation path, and this is the deployment path. Okay, and for this particular Tomcat server, the HTTP port is 8090. Correct. Control S. I saved the changes now. Now I can, what I can do is I can right click and I can specify add and remove. Now I can deploy this project. I can deploy this first web application project directly into the server. So I deployed the project. I deployed the application. Earlier, I have to export this as a WAR file and keep that WAR file in the server in the web apps folder. Keep the WAR file in the web apps folder. Then start the server. Then the WAR file will be extracted to the folder. Correct? That is what we are doing earlier. Correct or not?
Yes.
Now what I'm doing is instead of going to the server path every time and keeping the WAR file inside the web apps folder, so I'm directly adding that application inside the server. Right click, just add and remove. So right now this is added already. If you want to remove, you can remove that. Just select that application, remove, finish. That is removed. If you want to deploy the application, again add and remove. So add the application. So the application is deployed in the server. Where it is deployed? This is the deployment path. It is deployed in the web apps folder. Correct? Correct or not? Just now I specified the path, right? Any questions? Instead of going to the web apps folder and deploying the application, I'm directly deploying the application from the Eclipse itself. This Eclipse is already pointing to the Tomcat server, which is installed in this path, the same server which I'm using earlier. Correct?
Yes.
So, and I told that this is the whenever I click and whenever I add the application, that application will be deployed in this particular web apps folder automatically. Now I can start the server. Right click, start. See, right now the server is stopped. Right click, start. Now the server will be started. Server startup is completed. Go and check the console. Server startup is completed. Correct? Server is started already. And the application. So now if you go and look at this application, web apps folder, you can see that. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll show it again. So if you want to stop the server, just click this red button. I mean this red icon. You can terminate the process. When you click here, the server is stopped. Correct? What I'll do is I'll remove the I will add and remove, and I'll remove that application from the server. Now there is no add and remove, finish. So application is removed from the server. Now do one thing, go to this web app folder. So go and remove this first web application. Now there is no first web application in the web app folder, correct? Now what I'll do is right click, add and remove. I'm adding the first web application. Finish. So now let me start the server. So server is started. Go and check in this web apps folder. The first web application came here, correct?
Yes.
Because I added the application here. I right clicked on the server and I added the application. When I add the application, that application will be deployed in this path, in the deployment path in the web apps folder, correct?
Yes.
So that is why you can see the application here. You can see the application here directly, correct? So you don't require to navigate to the folder and copy that WAR file, start the server, then that WAR file will be extracted to this folder. All these things are not required. So you can directly do all these things from Eclipse. Just I'll do it again to make you understand. So I'm stopping the server. Okay, I'm removing the application. So I removed the application. Now what I'll do is I'll delete the server also. I'll delete the server also. Okay, now server is also deleted. Now what I'll do is I'll add the server again. Right click, new server. So select Tomcat version 7. Okay, so click next. So finish. Tomcat version 7. Apache Tomcat. Yeah. So click next and finish. Now just double click on the server. Now you can also use the Tomcat installation path. Use the Tomcat installation path, so it will use this particular path. So this is the Tomcat server. The Eclipse is pointing to now. The Eclipse is pointing to this particular server, correct? And the deployment path is not this particular path. I want to give the web apps folder. So go to the C drive, softwares, Apache Tomcat, correct? Apache Tomcat and web apps. So this is where I want to deploy my application, correct? So click OK. So CDS Office Apache Tomcat, that web apps folder is that is the deployment path. So now when you right click and add and remove, so deploy this first deploy this particular web application in this server. Click finish. So now when you add this and when you start the server, okay, it has to be this is not saved. It has to be saved first. What are the changes you made here? So we have to Tomcat has been changed the file system. Do you want to do yes? Okay, I saved the things. Now let me start the server. Some problem. Hold on. Yeah, deploying. Let me delete the server again. I'm doing the same step again and again to make you understand. New, I'm adding a new server. Next, finish. So now double click on this. Use the Tomcat installation and go to this C drive softwares, Apache Tomcat and web apps. Okay, and this is the deployment path. This is the server path. I have to save that configuration whatever it is. Now right click, add and remove. When I add the application, it will be added in the web apps folder. It will be deployed in the web apps folder. Okay. Now let me start the server. Yeah. So server started now. Now let me go in the URL from the browser. HTTP colon 10.0.0.182 port number 8090 slash first slash login.html. Did I get the login.html and username? When you click on login, hello, welcome to my website. When you click on courses, this is the courses, correct? Got it? So I can I every time I need not export this as a WAR file and keep that WAR file in the web apps folder and start the server. Instead of doing all those things, I can do everything in Eclipse. I can create a Tomcat server, and the Tomcat server is pointing to the installation location of our direct installation directory where the Tomcat is installed, right? That is the Tomcat server I'm pointing to, correct? I want you people to speak out. If you have any questions, I can repeat the things. Please let me know if you have any questions.
No questions, Ramji.
No.
So now, if I make any changes now in the home.html, now this is home page or in login.html, I'll remove this h2, h3, h4. I don't require this. I just require h1 page, h1 tag. Save. I just made the changes, and it was already what were the changes I made here? That is already synchronized. Those changes are synchronized in the server. Those changes are already kept in the server now. Getting it? Otherwise, see, look at here again. So login page demo, something like this. So everyone observe here. Everyone observe at this particular location, the first web application location. When I save this file, just observe here. Everyone should look at here. Okay, Control S. Did you see republish? Did you see the republish?
Yes.
See, I'm right. I'm doing it again. I'm saving the file. Did you see the republish?
Yes.
It means
Yeah.
it is republishing the application into the server. It is getting sync. The changes are getting sync. You need not again deploy the application into the server. Already taken into the server because you are doing it from Eclipse, right? Getting it? So that's all. When you make change here, just go into the URL. But still I can see that login page. It means it is in browser cache. I have to remove the cache. Hold on. History, not history. Things how to remove the cache in Control Shift Delete. Control Shift Delete. I think. Yeah. Clear browsing data. I'm removing the browser cache. Clear data. Okay. Now go in with the URL. Now you don't see that H2, H3, H4, right? Earlier that web page is cached inside the browser. I'm deleting the cache. I'm removing the cache. I'm clearing the browser cache. When I clear the browser cache, now I'm getting the actual changes that I made now. See right now. If you look here, there's only h1 tag. There's no h2, h3, h4, right? Those changes are already published into the server. Now this is the file I have to get when I ask for login.html. But still I'm getting the old web page, old login.html, the old code. So why am I getting that? Because that particular file, that particular web page is cached in the browser. I hope everyone knows what is caching. That is cached in the browser. So I have to clear the cache. Then I will get the latest file from the server. Getting it?
Okay.
Any questions?
No, Ramji.
So everyone, I want reply from everyone. So
No.
till morning, I was telling that create a dynamic web project in the Eclipse. Then after making your after completing your code, then export your project as a WAR file and keep the WAR file in the server and start the server. That's what I was telling. The server is for starting the server. You're going to the command prompt and you're going to the bin folder, start up that batch file. That is how you're starting the server, correct? So instead of doing all these things, what I'm doing is I am creating a server here in the Eclipse itself. I'm creating a server, and this particular server is nothing but it is the server that I installed. See, if you double click on the server properties, this is the server properties. This is the server path, the same server I'm pointing to, right? And this is the deployment path. Whenever I click and add, whenever I add a web application to this server, that is deployed in this particular deployment path automatically. You need not go and place it in the web apps folder. It will be automatically placed in the web apps folder when you right click and add the application, correct? Because you said the deployment path is web apps folder, correct?
Yes.
So now you can start the server from here itself. You can start the server, you can stop the server, everything you can do it from Eclipse. You don't require to go to the command prompt every time. Every time you don't require to go to the command prompt and you don't require to start the server. You can start the server from the Eclipse, you can stop the server from the Eclipse, and whatever the changes you made in the Eclipse, those changes will be automatically published into the Tomcat server. You need not stop the server and start the server every time. You need not deploy the application every time. So don't you think it is easy way to develop the applications?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Ram.
Yes.
So till
Yes.
morning, for every small change, I have to export the war file. I have to keep the war file in the server manually. I have to keep the war files. I have to copy the war file and I have to paste the war file in the web app folder. I have to start. I have to go to the command prompt. I have to start the server. I have to do all these things by myself. Now I'm using Eclipse. I created a server. Directly I'm right click and I'm clicking add and remove. I'm adding an application to the server. When I add an application to the server, that application is automatically placed in the web apps folder because you set the deployment path is web apps folder. So whatever the applications you add to this server, those applications will be placed in this path. Correct? And you can directly right click and start the server. And you can stop the server if you want. Whatever you want, you can do. The server is already started. Now, if you want, you can stop the server. You just right click and stop the server. The server is stopped. So now, whenever you want to start the server, right click and start the server. That's all. So everything can be done in Eclipse. I don't require to go to the command prompt. I don't require to go to the server installation path. I don't require to go anywhere. Agreed.
Yes, Ramji.
Yes, Ramji.
So it makes your life easy. Obviously, it makes your life easy. So you can deploy the applications into the Tomcat server. You are deploying the applications into the Tomcat server from the Eclipse itself. From the Eclipse itself, you are deploying the application in the Tomcat server. You are placing your application inside the Tomcat server. How are you placing? Just right click, add, and add the application. The application is placed in the Tomcat server in the web apps folder. Correct?
Yes.
You can deploy your application into the Tomcat server from the Eclipse itself. You can start the server from Eclipse itself. You can stop the server from Eclipse itself. You can do everything from Eclipse. So I want everyone to do the same thing going forward. So don't export it as a war file. Then keep it in the Tomcat server web apps folder, and then stop the server, start the server. Don't do all those things. So it will make your life easy if you do like this. Okay. For example, for example, if I want to deploy this application, what are the application I develop? If I want to deploy this application into the Tomcat server that is installed in Nikhil's laptop. In Nikhil's laptop, one Tomcat server is installed, right? If I developed one application in my Eclipse, and I want to deploy this application into the Tomcat server that is installed in Nikhil's laptop. So what will I do? So definitely I have to export this project as a war file and give that war file to Nikhil. Then Nikhil will keep the war file in the server because the server is in his laptop. I can't access the server for a server that is the server that is installed in his laptop, right? So he can only access that server. He can only place the war file in the web apps folder. But right now the Tomcat server is installed in my laptop. I can point to the server path as C drive software Apache Tomcat. This is my local hard disk path, right? So I can point to this path and I can deploy the application to this path into the web apps folder. But if I have to deploy this application in another server, not in my machine, not in my laptop, if I want to deploy this application in another Tomcat server, I have to export it as a war file and give that war file to Nikhil. Then Nikhil will deploy the war file in the server. Correct?
Yes.
Yes, Ram.
But if I have to deploy the application in my laptop, the server that is installed in my laptop, I can do like this from the Eclipse itself. I can point to the server path. Agreed?
Yes, Ramji.
And one more thing. So right now, so whenever browser wants to send a request to the server, whenever browser wants to communicate with the server, the Tomcat server, whenever browser wants to communicate with the Tomcat server, so the browser has to know the address where the Tomcat server is installed and the port number on which the Tomcat server is running and what is the context path, because inside the Tomcat server there are so many applications. So I want to send a request to this particular application. This is the context path of the application, right? Agreed?
Yes.
So in this application, I want to send a request to login.html. So this is what I'm sending a request. So instead of that, because the server is already the Tomcat server is installed in my laptop. So instead of saying this IP address, I can simply say localhost. Localhost is nothing but my local mission. Localhost is nothing but my local mission. In my local mission at port number 8090, so the browser is sending a request to the local laptop. In the same laptop, browser is present and the server is also present. The Tomcat server is present in the same laptop. The browser is also present in the same laptop. Now browser is sending the request to the server that is installed in the local laptop. Correct?
Yes.
So instead of telling the IP address, you can simply say localhost. Localhost at port number 8090. You are sending the request. You get the same response. Correct? So if I say welcome.html, you get the welcome.html. Whatever you ask, you get the HTML. Got it? Any questions here? So today I
No, no.
told 2 points. One point is you can use the local host instead of IP address if the server is installed in your local laptop. But if suppose if the server is installed in Nikhil's laptop and I developed the application here and I want to place this application in the Nikhil's server in the Tomcat server of the Nikhil's laptop. Now I want to send a request from my browser. Then I have to point to the IP address of the Nikhil's laptop. Correct?
Yes.
From my browser, I can send a request to the Tomcat server. So I have to point to the IP address of the Nikhil's laptop and the port number in which the Tomcat server is running in Nikhil's laptop. So this is what I have to send the URL. That is what I have to send the request. That is the URL I have to send the request from the browser. That is the URL I have to send the request from the browser. Correct?
Yes.
Yes, Ranji.
So when you click on courses, everything will work. Yeah. So these are the two things I told. One thing is you can directly deploy the applications in the Eclipse itself in the Tomcat server. You create a Tomcat server in the Eclipse itself and point the Tomcat server to this particular server path, and this is the deployment path. Okay, and if you want to change the port number, for example, if you don't want to start your Tomcat server at port number 8090, instead you want to start the Tomcat at port number 8091, you can change the port number. Getting it? And save this, and start the server. The server will be started at port number 8091, not at 8090. Correct? Correct? So let me stop the server and let me change the port number 8091. Control S. Now let me start the server. Now if you observe the console, so server is started at HTTP port number 8091. Correct? So if I send the request, see, it is still spinning, and finally I did not get anything. I did not get anything. The site can't be reached because there is no server running at port number 8090. The server is running at port number 8091. Correct? Now I got the response. Correct?
Yes.
So if you want to change the port number of the Tomcat server, you can change it. If you want to change the port number of the Tomcat server, you can change it. Where is the port number? Tomcat server. Go to the servers, double click on the server, and this is the port number. Correct? Double click on this server. Just double click on this server, double click, then you'll get this server properties. So this is the server path, and this is the deployment path, and this is the port number on which the HTTP port number on which the server is running. Correct?
Yes.
And I'll talk about these timeouts and all later, not now. There are various properties of the server. Okay. So any questions here? If no questions, now let us start a new topic. I'll just give the introduction to the dynamic web pages. So morning I told that HTML is a technology which is used to generate the static web pages, correct? I hope everyone remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So but I want to develop the dynamic web pages. For developing the dynamic web pages, we have to learn servlets. Servlets, okay? So this is the technology we have to learn. So you can create various servlets. For example, I will create a login servlet. Okay, I can create a home servlet. So just like I created login.html, home.html, I created so many HTML files, right? Similarly, you can create so many servlets. Whatever the servlet you want to create, you can create. You can create a login servlet, you can create a home servlet, or you can create a whatever it is, welcome servlet, whatever the servlet you want to create, you create the servlet. So these are the various servlets you can create. And any servlet, any name, any servlet you can create. First of all, what is a servlet? So servlet is nothing but it's a Java class. You have to write a class called login servlet. You have to write a class called login servlet, which extends HTTP servlet. So there is a predefined class called HTTP servlet. I did not write this class. This class is already given to me by someone else. Okay, I did not write this class. So but my class is extending this class. So I will get all the properties of this class into this class because it is an inheritance. I hope everyone knows what is inheritance. So all the properties of HTTP servlet will be inherited to the login servlet. So this is the class I'm writing, and my class is becoming a HTTP servlet now. So because there is a relationship, login servlet is a HTTP servlet. So this is child and this is parent. All the properties of parent are coming to the child. So I can say that login servlet is a HTTP servlet, correct?
Yes.
So this is how you write your servlet. That's all. You have this is how you write the servlet. So login servlet. Similarly, if you want to write one more servlet called home servlet, class home servlet, which extends HTTP servlet, which extends HTTP servlet. Okay. So this is the login servlet and this is the home servlet. Similarly, you can write welcome servlet. Whatever the servlet you want to write, just write your class, write a Java class which extends HTTP servlet. Then your class will become a servlet. Your class will get all the properties of HTTP servlet, and your class is also a servlet. Correct? Your class is getting all the properties of HTTP servlet. So now your class is also become a servlet. This is how you write a servlet. This is a servlet class you're writing. This is another servlet class. This is another servlet class. Your class is getting all the properties of the servlet. Correct? The HTTP servlet. Your class is getting all the properties of HTTP servlet. Any questions here?
No, Ramji.
Okay.
No.
So now there are so many methods in the HTTP servlet. Now all those methods will come to the login servlet. Agreed? So
Yes.
Yeah.
let me open HTTP servlet class. Control Shift T, open type. Control Shift T. So now HTTP servlet. So there is no HTTP servlet. Fine, no problem. So Tomcat server should have the HTTP servlet. let me stop the server. I'm deleting the server. I'll create the server again, new server version 7. Next, I'm deploy while creating the server itself. I'm deploying the application. Okay, double click. So use Tomcat installation. User deployment path. C drive. Softwares. Replace Tomcat. Web apps. Click OK. So port number I'll make it as 8090. Anything is fine, but I'll make it as 8090. Control S and start the server. Control Shift T. HTTP servlet. Why HTTP servlet is not coming? Why the jar file is not coming? Hold on. Softwares. Tomcat. Leap. Servlet. It is there, right? This jar file contains the HTTP servlet actually. Why it is not coming? Okay, I know why it is not coming. Let me delete the server again. Let me stop the server. Delete it. Let me create one more project, new other dynamic web project. So I'm creating second application. You can use module version 2.5. So finish, next, finish. Back. Oh, target runtime. So you can configure Apache Tomcat here. Apache Tomcat or new runtime. Apache Tomcat next. JDK 1.7. Finish. New runtime. Yeah, okay. So now click next and finish. So now you'll get it. When you say Control Shift T, HTTP servlet. Yeah, you got the HTTP servlet. This is the HTTP servlet class. Okay, so I'll explain it again, don't worry. So whenever, but I'm just giving introduction today. Whenever you write any class, which extends HTTP servlet, then your class will become a servlet. So this HTTP servlet class has so many methods. HTTP servlet class has so many methods. Let me open the HTTP servlet class. So I'm opening the HTTP servlet class. There are so many methods in this HTTP servlet class. So there's a method called doGet method. There's a method called doGet method, and there's a method called doPost method. There's a method called getLastModified. There are so many methods: doGet, doPost, and getLastModified, doHead. There's a doHead method. There are so many methods in the HTTP servlet class. This class is not written by me. This class is already provided to me by someone else. Correct? This is doPut method. This is doPut method. DoDelete method, and do options. There are so many methods in the HTTP servlet class. There is a do trace method. Control F, do post, Control C, Control Z, Control F, do post method. This is one of the methods in the HTTP servlet class. HTTP servlet class has a do post method, and it also has a do get method. This is do get method. So this is one method, correct? This is do get method and do post method. So I'm interested in these two methods. I'm not interested in other methods. So the HTTP servlet contains so many methods, but I'm more interested in these two methods, do get and do post. Okay. So if you go to this, so I told that every class, I mean this particular class extends HTTP servlet. So all the properties of HTTP servlet will come to this class. So this class will also get a do get method. This class will also get a do post method, because every method in the parent will come to the child, correct? These two methods are present in this class. This class is getting these two methods from this particular servlet. From the HTTP servlet, you are getting these two methods. Okay, but I don't. So what I decided is, I want to override these two methods. I don't want the behavior from the parent, and I want to override the behavior. I want to do the method overriding. I hope everyone is understanding what I'm talking.
Yes, Ramji.
Yes,
So
Ram.
there are so many methods present in the HTTP servlet. So all those methods are coming to the login servlet. So out of all those methods, so I'm trying to override these two methods. All the other methods are coming from the parent, but these two methods I'm overriding. I'm doing the method overriding in child. I'm writing my own logic inside this. I'm writing my own logic inside this. Inside do get something like this. So system.out.println inside do post. Okay, so I'm overriding these two methods. I'm giving my own logic here. I'm giving my own logic inside these two methods. All the other methods, they're coming from the parent. I'm not overriding those methods, correct? Agreed? So how many methods are there in login servlet? How many methods are there in login servlet?
Whatever the methods which are present in HTTP servlet, those are
Yes.
there in
These
login
two.
servlet.
No, all the methods from the HTTP servlet except these two, because all the methods are coming from the parent, but these two methods are not coming from the parent. You are overriding the methods from the parent. You are giving your own behavior, correct?
Yes.
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 Okay, so now this is the login servlet I have written. Similarly, home servlet also I can override the do get method, and I can override the do post method. I'll override those two methods, and I'll give my own logic here. Similarly, in another servlet also I will override those methods. Okay, so why I have to override, and what is the use of these methods, how these methods are getting called, all these things we'll discuss in detail. See, don't worry today. Even if you don't understand today's class, don't worry about that. Tomorrow also I'll repeat the same thing, and I'll tell so many things tomorrow. So I'll talk about what is the importance of these do get method and do post method. So when these methods are getting called, so all those things I'll talk in detail. Even though you don't understand today's class, and even though you're confused a lot in today's class, tomorrow I'll clarify all those things. Don't worry. So I'll repeat the class again, and I'll make sure that everyone understands these concepts. Okay, so but one thing I want everyone to know is, so what is inheritance? So if you forget about inheritance, this is called inheritance. One class extends other class. All the methods from the parent will come to the child. Now I'm overriding two methods from the parent, correct? I'm not overriding all the methods. All the other methods are coming to this class, but out of all the methods, I'm overriding these two methods only, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is again core Java. This is again, so when you're learning about servlets, again it's a core Java. You cannot go away from core Java. Core Java is the main thing for every technology. So if you observe till now, for learning Hibernate, for learning Spring, for learning JDBC, for learning servlets, Core Java is required, right?
Yes.
Yes.
You cannot go away from Core Java. That's the reason I spent a lot of time in explaining Core Java concepts. So Core Java is very important. If you forget about inheritance, so please go and refer to the inheritance classes. What are the inheritance recordings that I sent? So please go and refer that. So you have to here you are overriding these two methods. So why am I overriding these two methods? And what is the use of these two methods? All these things tomorrow I'll talk. I'll talk in tomorrow's morning class. So many people missed today's class, so I don't want to talk about servlets today. That's the reason I started with the other topics today. So now I just gave the introduction to the servlets. So this servlet is nothing but a Java class. You write one Java class and make that class as a servlet. How are you making this class as a servlet? By extending HTTP servlet. So you write a class, and if you extend that class to HTTP servlet, then your class will become a servlet, correct? Because your class is getting all the properties of the servlet, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So how to write a servlet? If someone asks you how to write a servlet, just write a Java class which extends HTTP servlet. That's all. You don't need to write anything else. Just write a class which extends HTTP servlet. So then this is a servlet class. This is a servlet. Your class became a servlet. And I wrote one more class which extends HTTP servlet. This is also a servlet, correct? Because this class is also getting the properties of HTTP servlet, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So if someone asks you what is a servlet, servlet is nothing but a Java class. It's a Java class which extends HTTP servlet, correct? So now when you send the request from the browser, so earlier when you send the request for login.html, you got the login.html page back. When you send the request for welcome.html, you got the welcome.html back. When you send the request for home.html, you got the home.html back, right? Whatever the HTML you're requesting, the server is sending the HTML file back to the browser, correct?
Yes.
From the browser is a client. When the client is sending a request, to the server, that I need welcome.html, server is sending the welcome.html file back to the browser. When the client is sending request for login.html, server is sending the login.html back to the browser. That is what we have seen all these days, all these classes. So when I'm asking for courses.html, it will send the course.html because server is stopped, I think. Servers. Yeah, there is no server is stopped. If you add a server, then it will work. Okay, whatever it is. So earlier I told, right, whenever you send a request for course.html, you got the courses, correct? Similarly, right now you have three servlets. Now there is no HTML. Forget about HTML. There is no HTML now. You have servlets. You have login servlet, you have home servlet, you have welcome servlet, correct?
Yeah.
So now browser is sending a request. That it wants login servlet. When the browser sends a request that it wants login servlet, server will send the response from the login servlet. What response it will send and all those things we'll discuss tomorrow. So browser will request for the login servlet, browser will request for the home servlet, browser will request for the welcome servlet. How it will request and how the server understands the request. So how the server sends the response back to the browser, all those things tomorrow we'll see. Okay.
మీరు బాగున్నారా?
Can you please mute your microphone? Okay, so we'll meet tomorrow again at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. We'll meet again at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time and let's continue the class tomorrow. Okay.
నేనేం బిజీ ఏం లేదు. నేను ఇప్పుడు ఫ్రీనే చేసేమన్నా చేస్తా నేను. లేదు రేపేం కాలేజ్ ఏం లేదు.
Okay. Bye everyone. Let's meet at 8 o'clock. Sorry, not 8:30. 8 o'clock.
ఉన్నాను మీకు ఇది నేను ఫోన్ చేస్తా ఈ నెంబర్ కి.
Okay. 8 o'clock Eastern time in the morning. From 8 to 9:30.
ఇప్పుడే
Okay,
చేస్తా.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.